10 times rule. Grant Cardone says for you to be successful, to be really successful, you have to work 10 times harder than the next guy. But he says you need to approach success as an ethical issue. It's your duty to yourself, your family, your practice, your organization you work for, to be the absolute best you can be. And I think we've got a bit of shyness if people are really successful and people have made big bucks in the world. Somehow it's unethical to make big bucks. He argues the opposite point. He says it's unethical not to make big bucks. You should treat debt like a loaded gun. It's a bad thing to be in debt. So get out of debt as soon as possible. Understand the difference between good and bad debt. If you go to the shop and you see a brand new TV of 44,000 Rand, you think, gee, I must have that TV because my neighbor has one like that. Do not buy it unless you're really rich. So you get good debt, which is your home loan, investment properties, like starting a business, etc. Most new businesses fail within 5 years, just know that also, and I'm sure that includes psychology practices. Bad debts includes the latest model car, flat screen TV, clothing, store account, credit cards, all of those debts. We should actually cut that. If you can't behave decently with your credit card, cut it up. It will be the biggest gift you give yourself, to cut your credit card up if you can't control it. Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. And he's a clever man. The only way the average guy in any country will get rich is to understand the power of compound interest and use it in your favor. Passive income equates to money from other sources, including rental properties, business income, royalties from books that you've written, etc. Still, the moment you stop working, you don't get income. So create streams of passive income because it's the enemy of our job. We are like prostitutes. The moment you stop lying down, entertaining clients, you're in trouble. Your income stream stops. From this day you start working, aim to pay yourself first by putting 10% of your income into some form of savings. Be careful though of any savings because it can be stolen, it can be ripped off and so on. Be careful to give your money to salespeople who give themselves out as financial advisors. If somebody comes from Sanlam or Metropolitan Life or anybody, I mean, I don't care how reputable the organization is, who do they work for? Do they work to make you rich? No, they work to make themselves rich because they get something out of what you pay. They get a commission. Is your financial salesperson rich? That person who sells you and who's giving you advice about finances, are they rich? Yes? Often they're not. Because, so if they rich themselves, they know how to make money. But you're taking advice from a man who's not rich himself, how to become rich. I mean, that's a little bit silly. You get 4 ways of earning. The first one is employee, if you work for the Department of Health or the Department of Prison Services or Correctional Services, or whatever you employee. If you work for yourself, like myself and Dr. Olivier, we are self-employed. If you're invested, it means you've got investments in something that gives you a passive income. Or if you're a business owner, if you have a big practice, you have 10 psychologists working for you, your practice is a business, so approach it as a business. Customer is king, so be careful that you keep your clients happy, that you look after your patients, that they talk well about you out there. Market your business, guys. Obscurity is the biggest enemy of private practice. If nobody knows where you are, one thing he's saying is, if you take all the rubbish away, all the nonsense in the world away, and you can focus on one thing that's the most important thing. Guys, and if you mid-30s on the way to 40s, the one thing should be your retirement. I know it sounds far off, but if you don't have enough money and you're going to eat Ipple dog food, it's not going to be so nice after a while. What is the one thing that I can do in all these areas to make it better for me in my life? Marketing can be done on multiple levels. In the past, word of mouth used to be most successful, but it's been surpassed by social media. So guys, these days you have to be on Facebook. And I know it's a controversial thing because ethically, what can you say? But Facebook is a big place out there. LinkedIn is big. Your website, you have to have a good website these days. Blogs if you want, YouTube, etc. The problem also, we don't die. People in the old days retired at 65 and died at 68. So it's okay, you can live on your money, you have a lot of money. Today we retire at 65 and we live until 85 on average. So you're going to outlive your money and you're going to really eat people if you don't listen to me. If you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter which road you take. So make a goal, set a goal, I want to be worth 10 million or 3 million or whatever that amount is, and stick to it. Have insurances for a rainy day. If a patient slips and falls, they make a claim, they can close your practice. Educate yourself, read a lot on this field, and ask quality questions of yourself, like, what can I do to achieve my million rand goal, or whatever the case might be. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful congress.
HPCSA is a statutory body governed by the Health Professions Act. So everything that they do, especially around complaints, is in terms of the Act. Typically, a person gets there, say, I've got a complaint to lay, they've got a standard form, which you can fill in, have your complaint laid there. Then that complaint gets sent to you, if it's about you. They have to then consider the complaint. So you've got 40 days within which to give your answer. Now, most members make a mistake not to respond, just ignore the HPCSA. There's one charge on its own, ignoring cancer. You can get a fine of 10,000 rands just for ignoring cancer. So they'll investigate the complaint. Basically what it entails, there could be other practitioners that are involved. They could ask them for reports to say, you also saw this patient during this time, can you give us a report? Or after this patient came from this practitioner, they came to see you, give us a report on what you saw the first time you saw them. These are the possible sanctions. Caution and reprimand is mostly what we call a slap on the wrist. Please don't do this anymore, but we just caution you not to do it anymore. The harshest that could ever happen is for your name to be removed from the register, because to get that back on, without even wanting to practice in South Africa, certificate of good standing, wanting to practice anywhere else, it won't do you any good. There are fines that can be prescribed, starting from a minimum of 5,000 rands right up to 75,000 rands. And these fines can be combined with any other sentence that's meted out. So they could say, we suspend you from practice, on top of that you must pay a fine of so much. All you would mostly be dealing with, it's cases where you go off the boundaries. Okay, the first case is where people take over patients, they don't inform the other party, practitioner, that this patient has come to me, you've been treating them, what have you been treating them on, are they on any medication, are you aware that they're no longer interested in you treating them? Those cases come out. I mean, those are issues of supersession. Secondly, which is mostly common, is the issue of now patient-practitioner relationships, where people cross the boundary, and now suddenly you no longer see a patient, you see a potential partner. And you don't terminate, you continue doing both. Proceedings, by the way, are public. Anyone can come in and sit and listen, and the media gets to come, this thing gets to reported in the newspaper. Even if eventually you're not found guilty, the fact that your name was associated with that and everyone could read about it in the newspapers is just, not going to do your practice any good.
Just, you know that your malpractice insurance is compulsory, okay? But it doesn't cover you for the fine. If you're found guilty, the fine's your bucks. Okay, the malpractice covers you for the legal costs, which I'm sure Jelly can give us a. What's an estimate average case cost if you don't have malpractice insurance? Just on average.
On average, minimum you're looking at about 150,000, just for the legal fees.
So don't sleep with your patients. It's a very expensive exercise.
Tax avoidance is legal, tax evasion is illegal. So you can use the Tax Act and the different promulgations, whatever they may be from time to time, use them to your best advantage, but never evade paying tax. So what is small business tax? SARS has been very kind to us in that they have allowed a sliding scale of taxation rates for small businesses. The cardinal rule of claiming an expense back from SARS is that it has to be in the production of income. Section 11A of the Income Tax Act. The expense needs to be incurred during the year of income, during the year of assessment, in the production of income. But if you're running your office from home, you can claim certain expenses from your home. So if you are taking apprentices or article clerks or trainees, you can get learnership allowances of 30,000 Rand a year, and 30,000 Rand a year in the year that they've completed their traineeship, multiplied by the amount of years that they had their traineeship. So if you
So, generally the pool of patients that can afford 800 Rand per session is shrinking, practitioners become independent, and medical aids used to kind of be good to us, especially PALMED years ago when I started out. Now they're doing all kinds of cost-cutting exercises. So, GEMS enrolled 3,726 Rands per family per annum. Okay, so all of you are in a hijacking, you've got to select which one is going to go. Then there's other complications. If a patient sees a psychologist for 2 outpatient sessions and then you want to admit the patient, they have a formula in which they then calculate how many days of their 21 days are now taken out because you saw them for 2 outpatient sessions. So the diagnostic thing is becoming difficult because people are now stuck with, what do I diagnose this person as? Okay, the legitimate diagnosis means no benefit. Okay, the made-up diagnosis means I can get a benefit, but then I'm going to be in trouble. Each session you should know what you're doing, achieve it, and move on to the next thing. So, this is my thoughts again. I don't teach anymore, so I can say this. And then when they don't get better, we say they're resistant. Okay, we'll never be part of the old boys club, okay, because we are not medical doctors. Your PhD doesn't qualify you to join the old boys club. So they tolerate us. Psychiatrists are valid because most people only Discovery at this point allows psychologists to be on their boards and invited. And that's just one medical aid. Most medical aids, okay, psychologists are not representative. Several medical aids wouldn't even talk to CISA because of this court case issue. So so we are not represented on these boards. Okay? And we shoot ourselves in the foot by persisting with traditional models of psychotherapy, which are important in the teaching part, but I think are problematic in the real world of work when we're working on the ground. Okay? Now I understand that there's a money issue. And often when we do workshops in and out, people say to us, but if the patient gets better quickly, that means it's less income for me. Okay, that's a myth. It's a myth because if your patient gets better quickly, they'll tell 10 other people who will then flood your practice because you have a reputation for excellence and quick excellence, and things work.